Today, we're digging into the Trust Wallet token, or TWT. And folks, this is a fascinating one because you have two completely opposite stories clashing. On one side, you have the market, which is basically screaming, get out. And on the other, you have the project itself aiming for 1 billion users. So what's the real story here? Let's get into it. And it all starts with this number. Oof, almost an 18% drop in a single day. This isn't just a bad day at the office. This is the kind of plunge that makes everyone sit up and ask what on earth is going on. It's a massive red flag from the market. Which, of course, leads us to the big question. Trust Wallet is an absolute giant in this space, one of the most recognized names out there. So how does its own token just fall off a cliff like that? That's what we're going to unpack. The data, the vision, and the huge gap that seems to exist between the two. All right, let's kick things off with the market side of this. We have to look at the numbers because, honestly, they're painting a really clear and, well, a pretty ugly picture right now. And it goes deeper than just that one-day drop. When traders want to get a sense of where things are headed, they use all these tools called technical indicators. It's like checking the weather forecast for a stock or a token. And for TWT, well, it's not just cloudy, it's a full-on hurricane warning. Almost every single indicator is pointing down, down, down. I mean, just look at this summary. It's about as one-sided as it gets. Out of 17 different signals, the overall verdict is a strong sell. And check out the moving averages specifically. That's 14 different ways of looking at the price trend, and every single one of them is screaming sell. You really couldn't ask for a more bearish chart. And if you're wondering why it's so bearish, well, this is a huge piece of the puzzle. On the day of that big crash, the trading turnover hit 27%. Now, to put that in perspective, a normal healthy day is maybe 5 to 15%. A number this high tells you something important. This isn't just a bunch of small investors getting nervous. This suggests the big players, the whales, are the ones doing the selling. They're heading for the exits. And then there's this, what traders call a supply overhang. It's a major headwind. Right now, less than half of all the TWT that will ever exist is actually available to trade. That means almost 60% of it is still locked up, waiting to be released. And the market, well, the market hates that. It creates this constant fear of future selling pressure, making it incredibly hard for the price to gain any traction. So, there you have it. The market's verdict seems pretty final, right? Bad charts, heavy selling, and this looming cloud of future supply. But like I said, every story has two sides. So now, let's flip the script and pivot from the grim reality of the charts to the project's incredibly ambitious vision for the future. This is how Trust Wallet is fighting back. This is the opening line from their vision statement, and it's a powerful statement. They're not just trying to be a crypto wallet, they're positioning themselves as the front door to this entire new financial world. It's the foundation of their whole counter-narrative. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. The team behind Trust Wallet is not in denial. In fact, they come right out and admit it. They basically say, hey, our wallet is a massive success, but our token, it just hasn't kept up. This honesty, this admission that there's a problem, is actually the launchpad for their entire turnaround plan. And they've got this great analogy to explain the situation. Think of the Trust Wallet app as the rocket. It's already built, it's powerful, it has over 210 million installs, it's basically in orbit. But TWT, the token that was supposed to be the fuel for that rocket, it's just been dead weight. The whole new plan is about one thing, finally lighting that fuel. And this leads us to the heart of their big comeback story. They have a plan that they believe will not only fix the token, but will actually use it as the engine to onboard the next billion users into crypto. They're trying to completely rewrite that bearish narrative we just talked about. Their whole roadmap is built in these 4 layers. They start with the basics, making crypto easy for everyday payments. Then, they bolt on advanced trading tools to compete with the big exchanges. After that, it's all about earning rewards and growing your assets. And that final layer, they've left it open-ended for whatever comes next. The goal is to make this wallet something you can't live without. So how are they going to light that rocket fuel? Well, by giving the TWT token a whole bunch of new jobs to do. We're talking real, tangible benefits for actually holding it. Things like getting discounts on fees, earning loyalty rewards, being able to pay network fees with TWT, and even getting a ticket to the front of the line for new project launches. It's all designed to create real demand from the millions of people already using the wallet. Okay, so let's take a breath. We've got the two competing narratives on the table now. On one hand, you have a market that is just punishing this token. And on the other, a vision that's shooting for the moon. Let's put them right next to each other and see what that looks like. And this, right here, is the whole story in a single slide. The market sees a price that has absolutely cratered, a sea of red sell signals, and the constant fear of more supply. But the project? They see their number one status, their 210 million users, a brand new utility-packed roadmap, and a token that could be the fuel for a billion-user ecosystem. It's the ultimate showdown, today's painful reality versus tomorrow's massive potential. So where does this all leave us? What's the bottom line? Well, it really boils down to just one word: execution. The vision is there, the plan is on the table, but now comes the hard part. Because let's be real, a bold vision and a fancy light paper are just promises. They're words on a screen. The entire future value of TWT now rests on whether the Trust Wallet team can actually build and ship all these new features. Can they make owning TWT so valuable that millions of their users decide they have to have it? That's the test. And that's really the billion-dollar question, isn't it? It's one thing to get millions of people to download a free app. It is a completely different challenge to convince those same people to invest their hard-earned money into its token. The entire fate of the Trust Wallet token hinges on the answer to that very question. Thanks for tuning in.